Evil. I'd say evil. People are really taught to just survive, and sometimes surviving means taking resources from somebody else who might need it. So therefore, I think that type of selfishness inherently is evil.
The logical part of me is saying evil, just because I guess just human nature. But there's the optimistic part of me that's just saying that there are people out there with good hearts, with good intentions, and so I'm gonna go with the optimist answer and say that people are good.
I think humans are good, but I mean everyone has like struggles and stuff that they deal with. So I think everyone's good though.
Evil. I'm Christian by nature, so I'd say that humans have a predisposition towards doing the wrong thing. Kind of everything that we do is done for our own personal wants and not for good, right? So, some people think it's okay to steal. That's just kind of, we all have those thoughts sometimes, and some of us are better at putting it away, but just our basic human instinct, I would say, is to do things that are not morally and ethically correct.
I would say neither. We're animals by nature. Our primary focus is survival. And these days, survival is a lot easier than, when you're out in the woods, way back when. But I think good and evil are pretty subjective terms. Like what one person might find good, another person might not. So I'd say neither.
Oh, well, if you look at like a very primal set, since we're animals, we all just want to do what we want to, like survive. But since we live like in a society of surplus, just like surviving is not really something that we think about anymore. So now, like, I feel like we have transitioned from being more, bad, animalistic people to being good, like, harbingers of hope. Everyone loves, like, did different things, but we are all naturally social animals. Putting a prisoner in solitary confinement is the worst possible punishment. But when they're in prison, they're surrounded by, more criminals. So yeah. Everyone's good, but there definitely are some evil people out there. But I would say the majority good, because, I don't know, everyone has their bad side, but most people should look in the good in people, I think. So I would say good.
I think there's a choice. So we choose to be good or bad. We're not inherently something, the way we grow up kind of defines us, but we choose to be a good person or a bad person. So it's the choices that you make.
I don't think they're either, honestly. I think it really depends on your upbringing. I think there is some genetics in play, it maybe a little bit of nature, but I think it's mostly nurture. I'd like to think humans are inherently good, but I don't know if that's something I could really say with confidence.
I think they're all born pretty good, but like based on like parental roles and psychology and based on your like environment, a lot of your nature aspects are like driven from what you used to be to what you are based on your environment.
Yeah, I think good and evil is like really subjective, so there isn't really a clear answer.
Oh no, I would definitely say they're good, because me and my roommate were arguing the other day. He said, I understand the whole Machiavelli, humans are bad, they need to be controlled by the government and everything, but I definitely think humans are generally good. It's the environment that they're placed in. Like, it's like nurture versus nature, I definitely believe in nurture. If you're around like negative people and negative like environments, like you're definitely gonna grow up and you're gonna think that's normal, but once you step outside of that environment and you realize, whoa, it's not always like that. Yeah, definitely people are definitely good, because a baby isn't born and decides to do stuff. It's like more about what impacted them to do something evil or bad. There's a lot of, we're studying it now as like technology gets better with MRI scans. Like, yeah, definitely people are born good, not evil.
If we do like percentage-wise, good to bad people, I'd say good is way higher than bad. I think everyone can be good or bad. You just have to make that personal choice. And I feel like most people have it within themselves to make the better choice most times. We're not all perfect, but that's how I would put it.
I'm gonna hit it with the opposite end. I think that humans are inherently greedy and self-obsessed. Enough people realize this, that we create rules and systems for us to follow so that you don't end up screwing each other over. Like, you were to if you take an infant, like with no sense of like society or culture or whatever, and drop them off somewhere, they're not inherently good or bad, but they act only in their self-interest. So all the systems that we have around us like are basically just set so that we kind of negate that a little bit and help each other out more. So, yeah.
I don't think either. I think it's more of environmental influence.
I'd say they're good, but it's more of a choice whether or not you become evil necessarily. I think it matters how you grow up, who teaches you the ways of life, and really mostly your parents, I'd say. Parents really decide whether or not you are whatever you're going to turn out to be.
It really depends on the context of what you mean by good or evil, because I mean that stuff is very malleable over time. Like we can look at societies like the Mayan society and them sacrificing hearts for the gods, really. And if we were to like put that in today's society, if you were in the United States, that would be considered evil. But to them, they thought it was good. So it just really it just really depends on like what we were born into, because we never have a choice of exactly what we're born into, circumstances, what we look like, or like the values and morals and ethics we were raised with. It's all really subjective to environment. We never really had a choice to start with. So it's just like, I think in the context of good or evil, I think we just really need to start from the basis of human connection and just on the basis of pleasure, but I don't want to get into depth on hedonism and all of that, but really on just like what is morally good in terms of helping a human being and just knowing exactly what those genuine emotions are.
Good. I would say at the end of the day, everybody wants to be happy. Of course, there are outliers, but since everybody kind of like wants to be happy, they try to achieve that. Mostly that's on a good way, as I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also a book that I read about it, that all people like are good. And I like that. I stood behind it. So I like to believe that everyone is good.
Humans are inherently good. I think evil is a learned thing. I feel like you can generally trust people more than most people would think strangers can be trusted. So like growing up in the suburbs, my parents grew up in Philly, so they think the Philly's like very dangerous, and so they can be worried about me like roaming the streets at night and whatnot. I'm not saying there's no danger, like there are, especially like the murder rate has increased over the past 2 years or so, but generally speaking, the amount of people say who aren't murdered is much higher than the amount of people who are murdered. Like it's generally it's safer than people, the world is safer than a lot of people give it credit for it, even, despite what's going on in Ukraine right now. But I generally think humans, I'm not saying there isn't evil, but I don't think anybody's born evil. I think it's a learned thing.
Go ahead, Angry Jersey Girl, please.
I'm going to say left to their own, they're inherently neutral. I think if you don't have the modeled behavior of good or evil, you don't have anything except what you decipher. And how do you know if it's good or bad or right or wrong? It's just survival. So I think in that instance, it's neutral. You don't have that influence or that stimulus of, don't touch that, it's hot, don't do that, it's mean, or this is how we show love. So you kind of wing it, maybe. But I think neutral. If you're not taught good or evil, you don't have a predisposed idea of good or evil. Sorry, I'm taking up all your time.
Oh boy, it's going to be close to the same, honestly, because married, sharing lifestyles and perspectives. Yeah, I mean, from a scientist's point of view, we're animals and we construct our own versions of good and evil, depending on where you are in history. You could find things that we now consider abhorrent to be totally socially acceptable. But I think there is also a chemical drive associated with our species that provides us general moral, but I'm not using the right word, guidance. It's not necessarily moral in the sense that we use by modern language. It's not a divinity or a belief telling us this. It's just, I shouldn't do this. Like, there is nothing other than society stopping me from right now running over and kicking a puppy. But I doubt there's anybody, regardless of race, creed, or religious philosophy, that would look at me and go, cool. No, that's an awful thing to do. Where did that belief and feeling come from? Is it physiological? Is there a chemical response for fight or flight that we've learned from the eons? Or is it a inherent moral philosophy from a different perspective? You can argue that divinities are nothing more than three-dimensional representations of a four-dimensional creature. But we're never going to figure that out because we're three-dimensional, and we'll never know that. You know, is Jesus and Yahweh and Ra all the same person, just kind of poking into our dimension at the same time? I don't know. I'm too dumb to figure that out, but it's fun to think about late at night.
I say good. I think everybody is born good, but the people who end up bad are bad because of how they grew up or people around them who influence them in a bad way. But I'd say overall, everybody is born good. I don't think there's anybody who's born like just strictly evil. I think it has to do a lot with the people around them and how they grow up. But at the same time, if they've been brainwashed to be evil by the people who influence them their whole entire life, then no, because they never got a chance to kind of see like the light in things. They only saw like bad stuff, so that's how their brain works now. But I'd say if they're evil as a kid, then I do have sympathy because they still have a chance to grow out of that when they're older. But if they're grown-ups now still doing that stuff, then I say no.
I think good. I think evil is learned.
Yeah, I agree. I think humans are good at heart, and then you have to
Feel like we do so much things for ego as well that can make you bad, or just like you're trying to be different from the others. I know people like that.
Yeah, I don't think there are kids or babies that are born and are inherently evil.
Yeah.
I feel like every child at a very early stage has good intentions in their actions.
Depends how you're raised.
Yeah, and then they learn from around them malice and stuff like that.
Both. You saying inherently? I believe both. I think they can be inherit evil through genes, and I just believe that they're inherited both. But they could become it or inherit it. You're talking evil, right? Yeah, I'm guessing both. That's my final answer.
Good, I think. I'd say good. I mean, we've evolved. Do I think good? God, these are hard questions, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, we existed on the same planet for a long time, just mooching around and stuff, doing our own thing. It's only when money and power came into play that people got greedy and bad things started happening.
Both. At times, people can be more self-serving. That's the evil side. And I think they can be good through good actions. That's my belief in God or whatever. I don't think you have to go to church or anything like that. You just do good things, do good actions.
Humans are neither good nor evil. We're just human. Good and evil are just labels that we put on each other. Everyone is equal in that there is no good or bad. If someone is wicked, they like it. Is wicked good? Maybe.
There is a bit of divinity in all of us. The challenge is going from human to humane. Humanity is for people. Humanity is for persons. You inherit your humanity. You acquire your humanity.
Humans are most likely sentient at some time in their life after birth, and they are as they make themselves. So they're neither good nor bad. It's happiness or sadness. It's all your personal paradigm that you make for yourself. So some people are really religious in that they believe that. And some people are whatever. It's everything that you make in your mind. That's the life you live.
I think our culture shapes a lot of that. I don't see it one way or the other. Good and evil is not a perfect definition. I don't know. I try not to look at people as good and evil. I just try to, be around people that are, in my view, respectful and treat people, with human dignity and respect. And those aren't perfect words either. But, human beings are not we're not perfect creatures. So, understand that. But trying to I guess, oh man, that's just such an open-ended question. I mean, you go to some places and, what they view as good and evil is completely different than what we do here. But, you can go to other places and you can definitely see some things, like I could perceive some things that I think are better. Those are greater strengths that those cultures have than we do in America. But there's a lot of things we have here that are, in my opinion, far superior, ways of being versus a lot of other places. So, I don't know. I don't think that humans are inherently good or evil. I think that that's just, that's kind of a validation for a person, I guess. But I don't know, man. Morals and ethics, are important. I can't really judge somebody else. If I see somebody do something I think's evil, I'm obliged to try to stop it, like a lot of people. If somebody's trying to hurt somebody in the street or do something, vindictive or something like that. But I think most cultures are, at this point, you go most places, most people have those basic, that moral and ethical, fabric. But we definitely have flaws, and that's something I can't really define in that way. So, very general. Sorry.
Both. I would say both. If you're a child and let's say you have a sister, you love your sister, right? So that's good, and you're doing good stuff for your sister. That's good. But then someone, like, I don't know, like a neighbor goes and messes with your sister, and that gets you upset. And because you want to do good for your sister and you want to protect your sister, you do something bad to the neighbor. But you're really young, like you're 6 or 7, but you do go there and hit him or something like that. You've seen kids doing stuff like that. Or even for pride and stuff. So like when you say kids, all love and all that stuff, it's not really true though. I mean, it's complicated. You gotta have a little bit of maturity and intelligence to be good. That's what I believe.
For me, it depends on the person. I think they're inherently good, but it all depends on how the things you've been through in life, I think. It kind of turns you into the person you're gonna be. I hope people are good or are inherently good. That's what I believe, because I'm a Christian, so I believe that's what God wants us to be, is inherently good. So I guess I would say inherently good, but like I said, I think a lot of it kind of goes on what you go through in life. That's what shaped me. And some people do good things, but then at the same time, they do bad things also. But then they justify it, and they say it's good because of this or that reason. I say something, not me, because I don't steal anymore. But if you steal something because you're homeless, is that a bad thing or a good thing? It depends on how you look at it, So like a person in general or in whole, if you were an outside looking in, I guess you would say that was a bad thing, that was a bad person. You know what I mean? Kind of a lot to that, I guess. I made it probably more than it needed to be, but that's how I feel. It depends on the choices you make, I guess, man, and the things you do. Then, evil to me is like, these guys just going around killing people for no reason, things like that. It all kind of depends on where you're at, I guess, mentally, and, like even people who worship the devil, they're not necessarily bad people. Some of them still do positive things and good things, It's hard to believe that, but some people, that's just their beliefs. That's what they worship, That don't mean they're going around trying to freaking hang up goat heads and all that crazy stuff, So, I think they're inherently good, yeah. Sorry, man.
They have definitely helped with pollution. So evil in some ways, but also humans are what makes our world go round. Like they've made like all these scientific discoveries, and helped evolve our world. So they're more good than evil, I would say. So yeah, that's my answer.
I mean, people are inherently good. People have a natural need for like self-preservation. However, it's always like the nature versus nurture argument. So it's like, are people born bad? I like to see the good in people, so I like to believe that people are inherently good. It's just a personal choice.
Oh, that's a good one. Inherently, we are evil. But that ties back to the God thing. We see the sinful nature of man. If you have God's love in you, you can overcome that by having His love and not having that hate and all the bad virtues, slothfulness and envy and hate. So you may not like what somebody does, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you just give them the love right back, and love beats hate. Hate doesn't beat hate. It just grows and festers. And that's not good. So The sinful nature is in all of us, and we have to fight that by having love in it, in our hearts, in our minds, so we can love one another. It's all about love, man. Can you tell I'm a 50s child? I went through the 60s, a little young, but there was some goodness out of that. Goodness everywhere. If you seek God and put Him first, there you go. That's the key. Love one another, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Life is strange. It is strange. So.
Oh, that's a good question, and I have contemplated that many times. I'm going to say there's some of each, because I don't think you can overgeneralize and say some are good and some are evil, because we're all created. Nothing happens without intent. Therefore, we are a creation. Whoever wants to argue that, go ahead. I don't care. We are all created through different channels, in my opinion, different channels by different forces, and some of those forces are positive and some of them are not positive. So, light brings life and creation, darkness brings destruction and decreation, so to speak, and there are some of each, in my opinion, at the soul energetic level.
Yes. I think some people are inherently good and some people are inherently evil. I've run across the evil people, and they really have no compassion or empathy for other humans. And they're the ones who commit crimes and take advantage of other people. But I believe, like Anne Frank, that people are really good inside, and that there will be more good people who rule the world, who affect change in the world, who make life better, ultimately.
Got to think about that for a second. Environment has a lot to do with, and upbringing has a lot to do with someone's mindset and personality. I think that the way someone was raised. Actually, you know what? Cut that out. I have something else better. Let me ask you this: have you ever heard the story of the two twins with the alcoholic father? So basically, there were these two twins. One grew up. Well, okay, but let me start over. So there was these two twins with an alcoholic, abusive father. One twin grew up to be exactly like his father, didn't live up to anything, was an alcoholic just like his father. And then the other twin, he grew up to be a successful, billionaire, whatever you want, just a successful businessman. And when people ask the first twin, why are you this way? Why are you in this state? He replied with, it's because I watched my father. And when they asked the second twin the same question, how'd you become so successful? Why are you in this state? He replied with the same answer. It's because I watched my father. Your perspective of your environment changes the way your mindset kind of changes, if you know what I mean. And so I think that for are humans inherently good or evil, I think it's not as simple as a yes or no answer. It's so many outside variables that play into it,
Inherently, we're evil. I say evil because we're prone to always draw to the negative. So you have to focus your mind on positive things, and then from there on, once you just start thinking more positive, then you're able to just stay in the positive. But it's kind of like a struggle sometimes, because you tend to want to go to the negative a lot of times, but you have to learn how to stay in the positive.
Oh, this is a good one. This is an essay question. This is something I'd have in high school.
I feel like there's both good and evil in everyone. It's just what we want to portray in that situation. It's whether we want to let the good shine or let the bad take over. But we initially have both.
I agree. I think everybody is good and evil, but we're given choices in life to choose if we want to make the good choice or make the bad choice. And obviously moral code and everything kind of plays into this, but I feel like everyone has an equal chance to be either good or evil. Obviously life throws different things at us, so we're going to respond differently. But I think everybody is good and evil. You just get to choose.
Yeah, they're given choices.
Mm-hmm.